made the new coil wire. But yeah, day 2 or day whatever, trying to figure out why this thing's hitting a certain RPM and just sticking there. I'm pretty sure that coil wire wasn't bad. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna unhook the shift light, the tack, and the trans brake wire from the ignition box. I've heard that tacks and shift lights and stuff like that can sometimes cause that issue. And if that gets rid of it, then we'll hook one back up at a time and see which one's the culprit, if that's the case. But I've heard of it, doing that, attack mainly, and I just want to make absolutely sure the two-step, even though it's cutting out at like 4,500, 4,800, somewhere in there, the two-step set at like 34. But and I've already took all the retards and all the rev limiters out of the box, and I've already tried that, and that didn't help. So we'll try unhooking them and see if that helps with our new coil wire. If that don't work, then the next step is to get something to where we can actually monitor the fuel pressure as we're driving it. Well, let's try this. Oh, and if this don't work, there's a map sensor up in there. We'll try unhooking it and unhooking that. It's got a 5-pound spring in it. It's only going to make about 4 pounds of boost anyway. It still doesn't. Alright, I unplugged that and I unplugged that. We'll see what that does. That did not help. And the AFR gauge is reading 11.5 when you get on it. I don't know. I'm gonna get something to read the fuel pressure next. Alright, it's a new day, and I tried to find some fuel pressure gauges that would work with that car. All I could find was the 0 through 15. I need a 0 through 30 gauge that works good, so I had to order one. I ordered one of the Holley gauges, and then we have the AN fitting on the regulator, and I've got some AN hose, and I got some, pretty sure I got some fittings. But anyway, I'm gonna make something to where I can run that gauge up to the windshield of the car. That way I can see it while I'm driving it and see what it's doing. I scratched my nose. But anyway, yeah, I went to the track yesterday and watched TJ race. Now I still got some parts out here from rebuilding Willis's carburetor. That's for the choke stuff. We took that off because we're not using that no more. So we'll put that up. What I'm gonna do today, since we're waiting on parts to be able to check the fuel pressure properly, which that's probably going to be the issue, but since we're waiting and I ain't got nothing else to do today, we're going to lock out this HEI distributor that came off of Austin's car. That way this will completely eliminate the ignition system and distributor in our car, to see if that's the issue or not. So if this ain't the issue, then it has to be the fuel pressure or something. Fuel pressure, maybe the carburetor just needs adjusted. I don't know. I had the carburetor rebuilt and it still does it. Man, I don't know. The wideband says it's 11.5. I don't think it's too fat or too lean, and it always does it at that certain RPM. Which is weird, because if you're on the trans brake, it'll do it when you let off the trans brake and stay at that RPM. So I don't know. We're just testing. We'll see. So I should have been making some videos here, but I watched Bruce Coggins, Coggins, Bruce, YouTube. He's got some really good info on this. But anyway, these HEI caps, they only go on one way. So the first thing I did was I made a mark on the base here, exactly where number 1's at. Someone numbered this because they didn't know the firing order, but anyway. Now after that, there was these springs on here. Well, I'm not going to push that back on there. It's so rusty, I like never got it off. But that goes on there, and then these go on here. And there's these springs that run from here to here and here to here. So the first thing you do is take those springs off that run from here to here. That'll let you take these off. There was one over here too, like that. It went like that or the other way, I can't remember, but anyway. You take the springs off, and then these come off. And then there's these little C-clips. See if I can grab a hold of it, they're tiny. There was these C-clips holding this on. Pop the C-clip off, then this comes out. Now, I want to be able to put this back in case someone else wants to use it, but you could just weld it right here, or tack weld it right here, and that'll hold it. Or you can tack weld it here, tack weld it there, it don't matter, but you got to keep it from doing this number. So just like Bruce Coggins did on his page, and you can do it this way or you can do it this way, but what he did was he drilled a hole in some sheet metals to line these holes up, and I'm going to use a cardboard to make a template, and then just, you know, cut the sheet metal out. I think he even used an aluminum can, a pop can for, I think he said for his, but you got to lock that out. And then the other thing you have to do is, here's why we made this mark, because when this, let me pause this for a minute, I'm going to put the cap on, or the rotor. So the rotor has to line up with these marks right here on the base and here, and these magnetic pickups got to line up too. So you got to get that all lined up. See, they're lined up now, just like that right there. And this mark lined up. Now, it's hard to hold this and the camera at the same time, but if it doesn't line up, this one actually lines up. If it doesn't line up, then some adjustments to this vacuum canister have to be made. And then don't hook the vacuum canister up. But fortunately, for some reason, this one lines up. But you can elongate these holes right here and slide this back and forth to get those magnetic pickups to line up. But we've already looked, it moved when yeah. But you want those magnetic pickups to line up and the rotor to line up here at the same time. Now let's see if we can see this. That's lined up. I don't know if y'all can see down in there good enough, but I'll have to carefully take the rotor off here real quick. All right, I pulled the rotor straight up. They're pretty much lined up. Let's turn the light on this subject. Yeah, see, they're lined up. Now if I move this, it'll change the alignment. If I move the mechanical advance, see? So you want to make sure you check it based on how you want to make your template to hold these together. So I'm going to make my template straight across like that. It'll just be easier. And again, if they don't line up, based on, when we put the template back on there, we're going to recheck it. But if it don't line up, then some adjustments are going to have to be made to this vacuum arm. Or you can do like he did. What he did was he made a bracket that bolted from here to there and then drilled a hole in it with a nut and a bolt. Actually, you could do a slot with a nut and a bolt and then just tighten it up as needed and hook it to this arm right here, and that'll give you some adjustment to get everything lined up. But it looks like if we go right here with it all lined up and where the vacuum is at right now, it looks like it's all going to line up, so that's good. Actually, you know, it looks like you could use this to line it up too based on how you wanted it, but I'm just going to go there. And I just push this cardboard down on there, and that gives me my holes. Now I'm going to drill holes in this, and I'm gonna cut out the way I want this to look. And we're just gonna use a piece of sheet metal. But what I was trying to explain, I don't think I explained it good. When you move this magnetic or the mechanical advance, it moves those too. So like you could find where everything lines up, even if these are crooked, and just make your template there. But you just got to make sure the magnetic pickups point all in the right spot, and then the cap is pointing right there. The rotor is pointing right there. Use the old dial indicators to figure out what size these are. You don't have to pause that, man. TJ's over here making him a video, YouTube video. But this one's smaller than these, so I just use this to measure and use these small drill bits to figure out what size hole I'm gonna drill. All right, well, just a couple of drill and a drill bit, some sheet metal, this little angle grinder. We measure our little plate. That's gonna, the goal of this is to keep the mechanical advance from moving. And I bet we could put them little C-clip things even back in there to help hold that down, but it's not going. Once you get the rotor back on there, it ain't going nowhere. So let's put the rotor on. All right, there we go. Our marks lined up about dead with our rotor. You can almost feel when that magnetic pickup lines up. You'll feel it when you turn it. Like when it lines up, it tries to pull that way. But we'll take the rotor straight off. There we go. We took the rotor straight off. And see, they're lined up. All that's got to be lined up. Now, if you don't line it up with the way you make your plate, you can push this back and forth, this mechanical advance, and it'll move it down here. And you know, you can make your plate the way it lines up, the way these magnetic pickups line up with those little, oh, it's hard to hold this in video at the same time. See, when you move the mechanical advance, it'll move that too. But if you make your plate and it's still not lining up, then you're going to have to do some adjustments here. Either notch this this bar out and notch it in the back here, and notch it up here, and then you can move the vacuum canister back and forth to try to line those up. But those magnetic pickups got to be lined up, and it's got to be pointing, the rotor's got to be pointing to wherever number one's going to be on the cap. That's why you mark the base, so you know where it's at without the cap on it. So yeah, now we can screw our rotor back down. Now there is a certain way that we do have to stab this distributor, and I'm going to show you how to do that. But you know, once this orientation of the rotor pointing to where number one is on the cap, and again we marked it down here, so we know as long as those are lining up and those magnetic pickups are lining up, you're good. When you turn the base of the distributor, it turns the magnetic, and then it's also going to turn when the rotor fires. So you can still time it if you're out of time a little, but we've locked this out. We want it at 34, so when we drop the distributor, we're going to make sure the timing mark is at 34 degrees when we drop this in. Sorry, no number one's on the cap right here on this one. So I took the cap off, I bumped it, I bumped the motor with the ignition till it got about where I wanted it, and then I lined my dots up on 30 degrees. I know you can't see that, but it's lined up on 30 degrees. We're going to test it with about 4 pounds of boost, so I'm going to put it at 30. That'll be fine. Now we're going to pull that distributor out, and we're going to drop the other one in there, the same orientation. So unfortunately, that blue water bypass that we use on this car, it's hitting the canister. It won't go all the way down, so we're going to have to figure something out with that. So once we take this off, we're going to have to make a piece to where it'll hold this tight, and we're going to have to reset all this. But like I was saying before, you feel when it hits the magnets. See? Click. There. Click. See? You feel it. It kind of locks it in when it hits those magnets. You can hit it in 8 different spots, but you can feel it. Once you get the bolts out of there, just push down and twist, and it'll pop out of that hole. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut it off right there. Right there. the rod to. And then we'll try to use some kind of nut and bolt configuration to hold that in there. Or maybe just figure out where we need this rod and weld the rod back to this. I went ahead and put the cap. It's hard to record and do this at the same time. I need that helmet thing so we can hold it there. But I went ahead and put the cap on like so, and then made a mark right there to where the rotor is. That way we don't have to keep taking the rotor off and on. I said cap a while ago, didn't I? The rotor off and on to see where we're at. See, in this vacuum advance, it moves the magnetic pickup. That's what it does. The mechanical advance turns the rotor, or it turns the shaft, which in turn turns the rotor. But anyway, this turns the magnetic pickup. That's all it does. See, pulls it. You get vacuum, it pulls it like that. So we need to line this up again. Right there, and then line our magnets up, and then make a maybe put a bolt right there to hold that on. But I'm gonna mark this too so I know where we're at. All right, so what I did was I put this bracket, I cut it off like I said I was going to, and then I put this bracket in, and then I put this arm, which usually goes on the bottom, I wedged it. I actually put the arm in first, then I wedged the plate in underneath of it. And now I'm going to straighten everything up. Once I get everything straight, I'm going to put a tack right there to hold it, and hopefully it don't fry none of the electronics. But I can see I can move this back and forth once I get it, but it's hard to move back and forth. It'll stay where I want it, so when I tack it, it'll be good. So let's line it all back up. All right, our magnetic pickups are lined up, and then our rotor is lined up with our mark here. I know we're off to the right a little bit, but I got that mark off to the right a little, and I know that, so that's why it's like that. We'll put the cap on just to make sure. Yep, there's with the cap on. My bad, I keep calling the rotor the cap, but yeah. All right, so the rotor is lined up with our mark that's going to be for the number 1 for the cap. And then our magnetic pickups are all lined up. Now we just need to tack weld that right there, and we should be good. All right, there we go. We got her tacked on there. I done grabbed it and tried to move it. It ain't going nowhere. It wouldn't take much to hold that anyway, but we tacked her pretty good. Now let's put the cap on, make sure nothing moved while we was trying to weld it. I don't think it did, and hopefully welding on that didn't hurt none of these electronics. Well, that ain't gonna work because now the distributor's sitting right there. This is just a video to show you where it's hitting at. We're gonna just get a T, because if we take this out, it should be good. And then we can just run the oil pressure sensor back here in the back. A lot of trouble to rule out the ignition system, but we gotta do what we gotta do just to rule this out. I want to rule the fuel pressure out, but I ain't got a gauge that'll read 5 to, I need it to read 5 to 15. Preferably 5 to 30, because if we put a 5 to 15 on here and we start running high boost, it's just going to break it. So we need to run that. And even a 5 to, or a 0 to 30 is not going to be enough, because if we run 25 pounds of boost with a base of 6, that's 31. And maybe it won't break at 31. So I bought a Holly that goes 0 to 30 is what I've done. But I'm gonna go get a T instead of a, yeah, see if we can't get this to work. All right, to get that HEI distributor.
You don't have to have this in there.
We had to redo all that. Yeah, that's not even on fire now. The magnetic pickup's not hooked up. But yeah, which I like a lot better. It's a lot more low profile. Yeah, HEI fits in there good now. All right, he had this going to the ignition box, then the main power wires from the ignition box go to the battery, but that's the one that controls the coil for the HEI. So we hooked that up. Now we're going to hook the spark plug up and it should be ready to test. Well, the battery went dead on the phone, so I wasn't able to get a video of us driving it, but TJ went with me. But it's doing the same thing. So it's not ignition related. It's got to be fuel pressure related, or maybe them springs, which ain't been in the car for a year, have gotten weak and it's valve floating. I don't know. The next step, I ordered a bunch of parts. I got some AN line. I got that AN fitting on the regulator. I got a Holley 0 to 30 PSI gauge. I'm gonna run some AN line through the cowl up to here, and I'm gonna tape the gauge right there so I can see it while I'm driving, and we'll see what that does. I mean, that pump's pretty loud and you can hear it, and it does make some noises when you're getting on it. It's like it's struggling. And maybe I'll check the wiring on the pump. Maybe I'll take the pump off and check some things inside of it the best I can. How in the world did that get there? What in the world? I need to take some black paint and hit these chipped areas. That's a new one though. I don't know where that come from. But anyway, sidetrack. But yeah, we're gonna get the fuel pump stuff and check the fuel pump. I guess that's the only thing left. It could be that or the valve springs just got weak on us. I don't know. Well, after getting sidetracked on the distributor hitting the oil feed for the turbo, I realized that we didn't really go over how to stab this thing. So I already knew the distributor that was in it was lined up correct, and the correct way to do it is number 1 on compression stroke, and you drop the distributor and you point it at the number 1 cylinder. Pretend like this is the motor, and this is the front of the motor. All right, I already knew that. So what I did was I bumped mine around until the distributor orientation was about right there, and then I grabbed a socket and a ratchet, and I turned it. The time mark on the balancer, and lined it up with a zero mark on the timing tab, and I put it at, well, we put it at 30 degrees, because even with the spring in it, it was going to make 4 pounds of boost. So 30 degrees of time, 4 pounds of boost was perfect. So that's what I did. I just bumped it around till my other distributor was pointing at number 1, and then lined up my timing marks where I wanted the timing to be, and then dropped the distributor. But now, if you're starting from scratch and you don't have a distributor to go off of, because that balancer, pretend like this is a small block Chevy. This is a LS swap we're doing in a 3rd gen Camaro, but this balancer will line up twice. The timing marks will line up twice. One time it lines up, number 6 cylinder is firing. It's same on LS. I know the firing order on LS is the same, is different. There's a couple of cylinders switched out, but 1 and 6 are still the same, but that's not important. But anyway, it'll line up twice. Once is when number 1 fires, and once is when number 6 fires. So what I usually do is I look at the valves. If you're starting from scratch and you don't have a distributor to base off of it like I did, what I'll do is I'll watch the exhaust valve open, close, intake valve opens, closes, and then when you turn this back clockwise to the timing marks, boom, you're on number 1. Or you can have someone put their finger, take the spark plug out, someone put their finger over the spark plug hole, bump the starter. When you hear it go psh, then you're on the 1 for number 1. And then you line up your timing mark where you want it at. If you want it at 36 degrees, line it up at 36 degrees. Then you drop your distributor in a manner that it's pointing right at the number 1 cylinder. Just like that. Where the rotor's pointing at the number 1 cylinder. And on a small block Chevy, even on the LS, but just pretend this is a small block Chevy for reference. The cylinders, this is the driver's side, this is the front. 1, 3, 5, 7. This is the passenger side. 2, 4, 6, 8. All right, pretend my leg is the motor. We stabbed the distributor and we pointed it at the number 1 cylinder. Now, once we stab the distributor, this ain't going to move. This will. The base will move. So what we'll do is once we get it stabbed and all the way down, and you might have to do this a few times because when you put the distributor in, sometimes it don't fall all the way in because that hits the oil pump drive. That's got to go down in that groove of the oil pump drive or the distributor won't fall all the way down. Just keep a note on small block Chevy, when it drops down, it's going to twist this way some. So if it ain't going all the way down, point it at like number 3 cylinder. That way, when it goes all the way down, it turns this way as it goes down. When you put it in, you stab it, and as you push it down, it goes like this. But anyway, apparently this was different than that billet distributor. So I was hoping it would just drop right in, but it didn't. So what I usually do if that happens is I bump the starter until the distributor falls. Now, once the distributor falls, you'll have to come back to your timing mark, find true top dead center, come back to your timing mark, and make sure you're pointing at number 1. And I mean, it doesn't have to point at number 1. You can have it pointing anywhere as long as you start number 1 there. But if you've got factory link spark plug wires, you're probably going to have a hard time getting them to reach because they're designed to fit on this cap and reach the plug wires with this pointing at number 1 at true top dead center. Also on these HEI ones, if you put it any way but the right way, your canister is going to start hitting stuff when you try to time it. So just do it the right way anyway. So this is the motor. We got our timing marks. Say you want 36. You got your timing mark on 36 degrees. You'd stab the distributor. It went all the way down. Now what you're going to do is once it's down, you're going to turn the base until this mark lines up with the rotor. Once you have that, you lock the distributor down. Lock it down. You're done. All right, now you put the cap on the way it's supposed to go on. There's a groove somewhere it'll hit. See, it's not on, then boom, hits the groove. See, that's where we marked it. So we strap the distributor with the nut down here loose that clamps it down. We turn this base plate until it lines up with our rotor, which in turn is going to have our magnetic pickups lined up. I know you can't really see in there, but trust me, they should be lined up with what we did before. And we put the cap on the correct way, and then we lock those down, and then plug this piece up in here. Get your key on hot wire that stays hot while you're cranking the car, goes there. Then you run your plug wires 1 clockwise, 8 in the firing order, 1, 8, 4, 3, 6, 5, 7, 2. My phone went dead, so I wasn't able to record that, and we started the car and we put the timing light on it, and it was perfect. It was perfect. We wanted it at 30 because that car's a turbo car and we were going to make about 4 pounds of boost, so I put it at 30 and I broke the timing light out and it was perfectly on 30. Now, if it wasn't on 30, you can just, loosen your nut down here and turn it as needed. Like I said, this won't move. This and the magnetic pickup will move. So if this and the magnetic pickup move this way, then it's going to cause this to fire earlier, which is going to line everything back up. So as long as you're close, with stabbing everything and doing all this, you can still make your timing adjustments, and all this is still going to stay in the line. But yeah, that's how we stabbed it.